Welcome to Rat Girls Podcast. I'm Abigail Jensen, and I'm joined by my friend Niki, who is, you know her, you love her. She's been on the pod so many times from Double Teamed podcast, an author, wrote a debut book, The Book of Lovers, which is so good. I can't wait to get into it, and newly engaged. Niki, welcome.
Hi. Oh my God, I feel like this is the first time that actually it's the first time in your home studio.
Yes.
So it feels more, because previously we did it at the other one, and so like that's where we also recorded, and it kind of just felt like normal. Now I feel like I'm like on your home turf.
On my home turf. I know, I'm so excited to have you here and to see you. It's been so long.
I know. It's interesting coming back to LA after, because I spent the last year just like traveling Europe. Which is great.
Which is good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We love a gap year, an adult gap year.
I mean, I always look, I'm 32 and
Me too.
Yeah, all I gotta say is it's never too late for a gap year in Europe. So yeah,
I'm
enjoy
taking that
it.
to heart.
Yeah, no, really. And I had a great time. So, but yeah, now I came back to record some episodes for our pod, and then I'm so excited to be here on your pod. And then I'm going back down to San Diego, so I'll be there with Cammie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you guys miss each other, or were you able to see each other often, or?
A little bit here and there, but I do miss her. I mean, she's my twin, and we've been living together for the past 4 years. And so, like, making the transition to not living together has been a change for sure.
Yeah. Does distance make the heart grow fonder, or?
I would say so. And honestly, like, if anything, it gave me the perspective that, like, we shouldn't have fought about, like, so much stupid shit when we lived together, you know?
Totally.
Because, I mean, we're sisters, and of course we're going to get on each other's nerves, but sometimes, like, I think back and I'm like, we didn't need to argue about how I loaded the dishwasher so often.
You're saying basically Cammie didn't need to get mad at you.
I could have just loaded the dishwasher how she wanted me to, I guess, also. But, or like, just like random things. So, yeah, but I have missed her, and I'm excited to spend some more time with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm impressed you could live with your sister. My sister and I, we lived in the same apartment complex at one point, and it was too close. Like,
really?
Quarters. Yeah, it was the Crescent, which is like a gay frat house on Crescent Heights in Fountain. It's like, there's big pool, like...
Oh, we used to live we lived off of Sycamore.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh my God, so close. Okay,
yeah.
And it was like every weekend, giant pool parties, like lots of gay guys, because heart of West Hollywood, all this stuff. And then my sister and I, though, like everyone knew, like like it's like the politics of the building was like, oh, they're in a mood at each other, like don't.
I would definitely say that, like, Cammie and I have figured out we make better sisters than we do roommates.
Yeah.
And we always say, like, the perfect arrangement would be, like, different houses, same street or neighborhood. Like, if we could just live, maybe just enough where I can just walk to her place when I want to, I think that'd be great. But now I'm curious, would that be too close? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This was just close because of the communal living area.
Yeah.
And Grace was like trying to study for her NP school, and I had nothing going on and was drinking all day every day with the other people at the pool.
And so she was,
She was resentful of that. I'm like, I can't help it that I chose to do nothing with my life.
Well, now you've got this podcast.
Yeah, there we go.
And it's super successful.
Yeah, now I got you here. And tell me about, like, getting into writing. You wrote that you'd always wanted to do it, like, in the book. And sorry, I'm talking so much. I'm so excited.
No.
Because I literally, you read books. You never know what you're going to get into when you start a book. Like, in, like, first page, I was like, you are so talented. Like, I was, like, extremely impressed. And I was like, it's like, I would buy this book and read, like, it's just one of the best books I've read this year. I really feel like it was and I don't know, I was just so impressed by, like, your descriptive language. Like, I feel like an English major. I was like, oh my God, like, this girl's got it. Like, A+ across the board.
The Oxford comma.
I was like, wow.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've always loved writing, and, like, as a kid, even growing up, it was one of my favorite subjects, and I used to write all the time, and, just, like, little short stories and whatnot as a kid. And I remember, in, like, all through school, like, I'd get a lot of Like, all my teachers always said I was really good at it.
Yeah.
And so part of me, I always, like, kind of in the back of my head, I was like, okay, like, maybe one day I'll do writing. And then I didn't. You know, I went and sold airplanes, and then I made a podcast. And, you know, so my
little detour.
Yeah, detour, skirt. But, so it's been all over the place. And then so the first story that you read was actually, that one, originally, a whole book I was going to write. And I got, like, way deeper in. I just stopped. Like, I remember I went back to read it, and I stopped mid-word. I wrote P-A. I think I was supposed to write pants. And then I, like, literally stopped in the middle of the word, never picked it back up again. And then one day, you know, I was, like, with my friends, and we were just, like, having a little girls' night, talking about stuff. And I remember I mentioned, I was like, oh, you know, like, I wrote this book, I never finished it. But then I had this idea to, like, just turn it into short stories and, like, incorporate some other short stories into it. And I was like, and I'm going to call it this, da-da-da. And my friends were like, write it. They were like, do it, 1,000%. You should go for it. And at that point, I was about to quit my job selling airplanes to, like, focus on the podcast full time. And so I did, and I had a bunch of free time because of that. And so I decided, I was like, all right, I'm just going to write this book and, like, just see how it goes. So I did. And then one of my friends that I told to, she was like, oh, my uncle is an agent.
Great.
And so she was like, do you want to give it to him and see if he wants to pitch it? And so I did. And I gave it to him, and I told him about the podcast and everything. He read it, and he was like, let's do this. Though because publishers, especially, like, the bigger publishers, just don't love smut as, like, a debut because they're, you know, the content is a little riskier, and you don't really have the credibility to, like, back it up. Like, Rebecca Yarros, for example, had, you know,
other books
exactly
first.
a repertoire of romance novels before she went, like, super smutty. I haven't really read a bunch of her other stuff, but I don't think it was, like, as, you know, raunchy as she went with her other books. And same with, like, other authors that I've seen. So he pitched it, and that's the feedback that we got, that it was, like, too smutty. And, you know, for that reason, they, like, didn't want to, you know, take a chance on it. A lot of them said, you know, great writing, just not for us. And at that point, or, you know, this was honestly, like, a 1.5 year long process. Like, it was,
which is so frustrating because it's like, you did the thing, you wrote the book, and you're like, now I just have to wait through this, like, bullshit of, like, politics, basically.
And I wrote it in 3 months. The first version was 125,000 words. Wow. So I just, like, breezed through it. And so afterwards, I, like, started working on my second book, which is nonfiction. And I just decided, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to self-publish this. And my agent was like, go for it. He was like, you know, just best of luck. It's, you know, kind of hard to do, whatever. And I mean, I get it. It is. And it has been a struggle, and, like, figuring out the marketing and everything has been a whole nother animal, just because, like, you know, I don't have, like, a pre-established, like, you know, smut audience. But I mean, either way, like, I'm super proud of it. I really loved writing it. I'm really, like, just happy that it's done, it's out there. And, you know, I'm, like, kind of moving on to other projects in my author career. But just, you know, for anyone that is ever interested in writing, just the best thing I can say is start, and then keep going. And then before you know it, it's done. And then,
and then you're like, and now what's next? Like, the new writer's pressure, you know, like, it's like Tina Fey has a quote, like, there was only one day she would feel satisfied, and it was, like, the day she turned in the script, like, for notes before the, like, next script came through for 30 Rock or something. And she's like, you get one day as a writer where you're like, that's good. I feel like I did it. And then the next day it's like, well, fuck, what's next?
Yeah, exactly. 1,000%. Yeah. I mean, I have a whole notes app of, like, books I want to write. And it's, like, things, you know, that ideas I've had over the years. Some of them, like, still progressing. Some of them I'm, like, excited to get to once I'm, like, done with the next project. And, you know, sometimes, like, I know some authors have, like, you know, they'll do, like, simultaneous you know, projects and whatnot. I haven't gotten that far, but
I think my brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
But so, I love, it honestly surprises me that smut is, like, hard for, like, that publishers don't love taking on smut for an author's first book, because I feel like if you build it, like, they will come. Like, the horny audiences are out there and ready. Like, and like looking. Like I feel, and the girlies who read up smut books like myself are always just like, we search Wattpad, we search like what's it called, AO3. Wait, is that it?
I don't know. I've only ever used like Wattpad.
Yeah. Like we will
like, you just
find
more.
Yeah, we will go to the depths of the internet to like find the smut, especially if it's something that like is our desire that we're not seeing as represented as much. And that's why I loved your book so much, because you went through like a variety of desires. Like some were more fantastical, and then some were like, oh, a hot man abroad. Like, tell me about writing the more fantastical ones.
I mean, if I'm being honest, like, so to kind of give, you know, maybe the listeners a little bit of an idea. So it's 5 short stories compiled into one, and it's called The Book of Lovers. And each story is based on a specific male main character. So it's like the story of, now I'm forgetting the names I used. Callahan, Dominic, what was the other one? Alec.
Yeah, the vampire was
Jet. Yeah. So, and then the last, what was the other one? Oh, Niall. So, you know, they're based on these male main characters, but, you know, the female main character, I often kind of like envisioned as like myself, just like in a different form. You know, they all have like different names, but, you know, I kind of just wrote it. And originally the way that I had written it was, I was using it to kind of like heal from endings of relationships. Yeah.
I loved when you wrote that at the end.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a good just healing mechanism. Yeah. To write what you would like to see.
I mean, I wrote the endings that I wished I had had. And I mean, honestly, some of them, like, they morphed too. Like, some of them, you know, in the original version that I wrote, because I actually wrote 3 versions total. First one, which was, like, super smutty. The second one that I tried to tone down for the publishers. And then the third one when I was finally like, okay, this is what I want to self-publish. But I used it to just kind of, like, heal. I just kind of envisioned, like, okay, well, what would I have liked to see happen in this relationship at the end? And just kind of use that as inspiration to, you know, kind of dream up the story. And so, yeah, the 2 more like fantastical ones, I was like, well, you know, like, let me just think up, like, one of them is an AI kind of like dystopian takeover, very much inspired by, did you ever read the, what was the one? Shailene Woodley started?
Oh, Divergent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. No, I totally got that. And I was like, man, Niki knows a lot about AI. Maybe we should get her to Congress.
I mean, you got to do some research. And then, I mean, I've also read a lot of like, you know, vampire, werewolf kind of stuff. So the other one was like, well, what would it be like if I was a vampire? What would I do as a vampire? So it was really great to just kind of like tap into that energy. And really kind of what I did was just take the fantasies that I've already had and kind of just morph them with other fantasies that I've had from reading.
Yeah.
So like,
you know, your formative vampire sexy media like that you consumed.
Oh man, the originals
with Klaus. Yes.
So good. And then of course I read Twilight.
Yeah.
And then what was that other one that had vampire? Was it
True Blood or Vampire Diaries?
Vampire Diaries. Yeah. Yes. I don't think I ever watched True Blood much. And then Teen Wolf had some. Had some vampires. Yeah. And those were kind of, the majority of them. And I also read some books. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head, but there were some others that were like kind of more niche indie authors through the years. So yeah, the vampire stuff is fun. And, you know, I'd love to think there's a world where they actually exist.
Oh my God. I was on that TikTok for a while where it's like this woman in Atlanta being, I saw a vampire last night. And I was like, great.
I believe it.
10 more videos.
That's great.
How do I find them? But it is, I feel like all girls have a like vampire like media that like inducted them into kind of vampire smut.
And what's really funny is that like my aunt showed me that book when I was like in high school, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it was, you know, because it was like talking about like abstinence and all of that. And she was like, oh, I read this book. I think you girls might really like it. And I was already reading some other books that like kind of, they weren't smutty, but they definitely like alluded to sex and stuff. And so I was like, sure, I'll give this a try. And then I read it and I was like, oh. And even that, you know, hindsight, it wasn't that spicy or anything. Not a, you know,
and it was like you're pregnant at 18 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and married. So yeah, that was, but then I remember when I watched the originals, that was like when I was like, I mean, I just fell in love with that Klaus character.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Vampire Diaries episode where he like comes back?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad that they created the originals, but I really wanted him and Caroline to like have a longer, because the tension was so good. When two characters hate each other, it's like,
I know.
just fuck in front of me.
Just fuck already.
Yeah, I hate fuck in front of me. And then realize you love each other. But I think Vampires is such like a good intro for like women into more fantasies, because it's like, it's like, it's almost kind of like BDSM-y.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, but they're vampires, so they have to, it gives you a story as to why you're doing maybe like getting your blood drawn or I don't know.
100%. And I mean, honestly, like in my, kink life, because I definitely explored a lot of kink, and, I've played with or toyed with knife play.
Yeah.
That actually was inspired by a book. I don't know if you've ever read Den of Vipers.
Yeah.
So Den of Vipers inspired me to try out knife play, and then I loved it. And then I remember, like in that book specifically, I kind of gave myself, because like I don't love blood. Blood makes me really like queasy. But I kind of just toyed with like the fantasy of like, okay, well, if you take it a step further and like, you get a little bead or a little prick, and you actually like break skin and get a little blood. And that was like a great way for me to just like explore that without actually like going out and doing it.
Totally.
So, and honestly, because I explored so many of my fantasies in that book, I realized, and this was, I think, something that I, really loved as kind of like a personal lesson, is that I love fantasizing, but I also love realizing like when a fantasy is just a fantasy. I think people really think that, especially yourself to like, tap into the feelings and like what it makes you feel, and like past just like the taboo or the fantasy, and like, okay, in this scenario, like what is this going to bring up for me? You'll realize that like some things are just a fantasy.
Yeah.
And like you don't really actually want to try them. Like it's just kind of like the thought is fun, but it kind of ends there. And then other things are like, okay, I do want to try, and like, but this is how I need to do it, and this is how I need to like create the space for myself. Otherwise, like it doesn't sound as sexy or exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you realize that with knife play? Like writing it made you realize, oh, I wouldn't like the actual.
Yeah, the actual like, yeah. I mean, I think what I realized the most was that like I love the sensation that knife play brings, and I wouldn't mind like that little bit of pain, but if it went further to like incorporate any blood, it just sounds a little messy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like the logistics. When you start thinking of the logistics.
Yeah.
Are we cleaning up the mess after? Like,
yeah,
am I ruining my
it's the same with like
sheets?
piss play.
Yeah.
Like I love, exploring that in the shower, but anything outside of the shower just sounds like a mess I'm gonna have to clean up.
Totally. I like, well, because you have some scenes, like, threesome scenes, which is lovely. You have some orgy scenes, which is lovely. And I think that's like a fantasy that I like in my head. But then like, if I were thinking about the realism of it in the moment, I'd be like, man, like that's a lot of work. You know, like you're like doing, I can't like tap my head and rub my stomach or whatever at the same time. Like I feel like, it's so fun to read and you did such a good job. But I was like, I was putting myself in that situation because I was like, oh, sex party sounds so fun and flirty. Yeah. But then I was like, man, but then you got to go shower after, clean up, and then you're like,
or even the emotional,
the emotional of it all.
Yeah, and honestly, I love that you said that, because I think one of the biggest things, for people that are like interested in threesomes or anything that, if they've never experienced it, I'm like, it sounds really hot. It does. I get it. I've had plenty of threesomes, so I know that it can be. But I also know that in order to make that a sexy and fun experience for everyone, you need, 3 people that are very confident, secure, and regulated.
Totally.
And at the end of the day, like, that's really hard to find.
Totally. Because I'm not currently, so
yeah, no,
I'm not regulated.
Even me, like, yes, I come from a non-monogamous background. Like, I explored non-monogamy for 7 years of my life, but now, like, I'm in a monogamous relationship. My fiance and I, Maybe one day we might go to a play party. Maybe we won't. Like, it's not a necessity. I think it would be fun, but I also realize that, like, to get to that point, like, we'd have to have a lot of, like, conversations and emotional preparation and, like, all these things that we have to do before we can get to that point, because to make it sexy, we need to be regulated. And, like, regulating two people to, like, prepare for that experience is a lot.
Totally. Because, like, I'm unregulated when, like, a pot of water boils over. So, like, you know, like things that are not big deals at all. So I can't imagine, like, oh, there's my partner sticking it in someone else, you know? And I'm just like, good job. Yeah. But people do it, and it works for them. It's just, I know myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, they sound fun, and it's really great to fantasize and all these things, but, like, it does take a lot of emotional preparation. And I don't think enough people realize that before they go into experiences like that. And I do think, you know, for example, when I read Den of Vipers and I saw the whole, like, knife play that they did, like, just not be, like, I wouldn't be enjoying it if I didn't feel like I trusted the person and all these things. So it takes time. And sometimes, like, you know, you even have fantasies that maybe you sit with them for long enough and you realize, like, it's came and gone. I don't have that fantasy anymore.
Yeah. Have you ever had a fantasy that came and gone?
None that come to the top of my head.
Yeah.
I went through a phase where I definitely was like, you know what, I'm just going to explore a lot. And I did. Actually, yes. There is one that came and went. I have never done a gangbang. And that was one that I, like, had always kind of thought would be, like, super fun, or, like, and then even, like, before I went monogamous and met my fiance and all of that, that fantasy went away. Yeah. Like, I realized, I'm like, it sounds really hot and, like, sure, it'd be fun, but, like, I don't really, I actually found myself in a place where I wasn't actually ever really that excited, like, to find.
It's good when, I wonder, like, people exploring their fantasies, like, through reading, through writing, through Quinn, listening to something, or
porn, like,
whatever. Like, what were the things in your body that you felt that you were like, okay, this is something I really want to do, versus, like, is just a passing fantasy, you know?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think the ones that started, like, triggering me in ways that, like, emotionally, I think would be probably the biggest one, like, because I feel like in the, you know, communities that I was in, especially, like, at sex parties and stuff, like, there were a lot of people that made me feel very safe and supported, so that was always great. But it was usually when I came up against, like, emotional triggers that I was like, oh, I need to kind of really sit with this and decide if it's something that I'm, like, willing to do or not. And, you know, for example, like the one that I was just mentioning, like, the I guess the emotional, or, you know, like, if you think about, like, everything is, like, an exchange, right?
Yeah.
You know, and when you're giving so much of yourself, like, in a situation like that, I feel like, you know, am I going to actually feel fulfilled in any ways? And, like, for me, that was, like, one of those triggers that kind of came up. I'm like, it sounds fun, but I almost feel like there's not a way in which I'd actually, like, feel happy and taken care of unless, like, someone was there who, like, actually cared about me. And it wouldn't be with a group of people that cared about me, like, in a romantic way. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. And so that's kind of typically what I looked for. But, you know, the ones that I did go on to try were usually the ones where I was like, okay, I have a clear understanding of, you know, what I need to feel safe and what I need to, like, get this done. And I have people in my life that can give me that, and, like, that's how I'd go ahead with it.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, I've had the gangbang fantasy before.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I feel like fantasies teach us our, like, yes, what we desire, but then it's like, where's this desire coming from? And it's like, oh, to me, the desire there is to choose to be objectified by a bunch of people. Like, you know, and which is interesting because I feel, I don't know, it just shows your, like, deeper thoughts on maybe, like, 100%. Society, or, like, insecurities you're feeling, or fears or whatever. Like, I hate being objectified. Like, I hate, like, thinking that there's maybe men on my Instagram, because, you know, you get the weirdos who are, like, jacked off to your video last night.
Yeah,
and
and you're like,
okay, I didn't put that. This is literally, like, how to do videos. These are the least sexy videos of all time, but that the men will find a way. And, like, and that grosses me out so much because I didn't ask for that. You know, it's, like, unconsensual. So then, like, consenting to objectification is so hot to me.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think,
and
honestly, you gave me the missing piece I was looking for. So the reason that I would say that, like, my gangbang fantasy went away is because, like, I don't want to be objectified unless it's someone that I have a romantic connection with. And if I have a romantic connection with someone, I don't want to be, like, objectified by anyone else. So if you kind of put the situation of, like, a gangbang, for example, I'm like, I would need at least one person there that I feel, like, romantically safe with, that is willing to, like, you know, that I feel I can be objectified by, but realistically, no one else. Like, everyone else, I would be grossed out.
Totally.
So it kind of got to the point where I realized, I'm like, I actually don't want this.
No, could I make, like, 10 copies of the same dude?
Right,
and,
exactly.
like,
My fiance, I'm like, can I make 10 of you and all of you gangbang me? And,
and are obsessed with me and love me and and know every part of me.
Yeah, no, that's a really good way to put it, 100%. And so you do learn about yourself the more you kind of fantasize about these things, and you learn your boundaries. You know, you learn, like, what your, like you said, the desires, but also, like, your needs in it too, like your emotional needs.
Yeah.
So.
What was your, like, boundaries? Sorry, I'm, like, this has gotten away from the book, and now
no,
I'm just,
you're good. I mean, it's a book about fantasy.
Yeah, it's a book about fantasies, and, like, and you talk in the book about ethical non-monogamy. Monogamy.
Ethical non-monogamy. Yeah.
And, like, the story with Callahan and trying it for the first time. What made you, like, in real life say, oh, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I want to do monogamy.
So I spent a lot of time in the non-monogamy world. I loved it. I learned a lot about myself. It was a great experience. But it also taught me so much about being intentional in my decisions and, like, understanding, like, what, like, non-monogamy really forced me to, like, get to the root, kind of like what you're saying, the root of my desires and, like, why is this something that I want? And then when I took kind of that, like, level of intention and, like, turned around again and looked at my relationships, I'm like, okay, well, do I actually want a non-monogamous structure or, like, non-monogamous lifestyle, or do I want to find all of these specific things that, like, I'm getting from different people in a partner, and, like, this is what I actually want? And then I came to find out that I was like, yeah, I mean, I actually don't need non-monogamy. What I need is someone that can at least fulfill these, like, you know, few main I want. And then I found that. So I'm very grateful in that regard. But it definitely forced a level of introspection that, like, allowed me to get to that point.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people, like, when they're talking about ethical non-monogamy or threesomes or whatever it is, like, don't want to do the work, the introspection work.
Yeah, but you have to.
Yeah.
Like, and I think people learn that the hard way, that, like, sure, you can try to have, you know, non-monogamous experiences without doing some of the work, but they're just going to end up blowing in your face when you come up against jealousy and insecurity and fears and all these other triggers. And then you're like, oh shit, well, now here are all these things that I actually do need to address.
The most vulnerable parts of me are all laid out.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, in the book, like, I did want to rope in quite a few. I think almost all of them touch on non-monogamy. Yeah, every story about...
Yeah, because the first one, I was thinking maybe not the first, but you're in an open relationship.
Yeah. So all of them touch on non-monogamy, and what I really... but in various ways, like, different flavors, and I wanted to showcase that, like, there are many ways in which you can practice non-monogamy, but at the same time, like, I really try to write all the female characters as, like, very, like, empowered women that are making, you know, like, even the first one, I know she's a little wishy-washy in the beginning, but, like, even then, like, just, like, making really empowered choices, and, you know, no matter, like, the structure, kind of putting their feelings and their desires, like, at the forefront.
Yeah, I definitely got that with the, like, story of Callahan and, like, you know, you choosing, well, I don't want to say what happened. Let me just spoil everything. But, like, I definitely got that with the story of Callahan. And was that a real life ending, or was that the ending you wish you saw happen?
It was a very we never got to a point where we like actually dated or gave it a shot or anything, the person that really inspired that story, but it did get to a point where I was like, you know what? I deserve better.
Yeah.
And as much as I, really care for this person and really cherish the connection and recognize that it's a, valuable and beautiful connection, there's better out there. Someone that was in a lot of situations. Especially like in the non-monogamous space, like I didn't put a lot of titles on stuff. So not that anything, I mean, there were definitely some situationships, but it is my belief that, like the universe puts us in front of people that are meant to, help us see a different perspective, like of ourselves, of our lives, of, and vice versa. They're going to put us together, but then not put in the work and not make it happen. And so I think situationships are born out of two people that clearly have a very, great connection. Like something brought the two of you together. There was that pull, there was that spark, there was that, just like energetic, something that came together. But one of you decided you were ready and the other decided you were not.
Yeah.
And so then from there, like I think the person that's ready has to like make a decision. Like, do I want to wait for this person? Do I want to, honor myself and go find someone that is, and then vice versa. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think like, because the situationship started with like friends with benefits in the story. Like, do you think friends with benefits is possible?
Like friends with benefits to a relationship?
Just like friends to benefits. Like, do you think it will
like
end well? Like,
yeah.
You think it can?
Yeah.
Have 100%. You had it? Like,
yeah. I would say because in the non-monogamous world, I had plenty of friends with benefits that it was strictly that and like it stayed there. And it's fine. It's definitely possible, I think.
Having the ethical non-monogamy mindset and like probably preps you for friends with benefits more than like me as a college student who is actually just in love with this guy.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, like that is a thing too about like situationships or friends with benefits is like, some people struggle to separate sex and intimacy from like love and romance. And I do think like being in the non-monogamous space, it kind of helped me understand how to separate the two, and that made friends with benefits more successful. But I mean, it's very natural for intimacy and sex to get, kind of evolve into more of those romantic feelings, or you're just taking what you can get.
That's what when it crashes and burns is one person's
when you're I'm
in love with him. I hope he realizes he loves me too.
Yeah, and then you're like, wait, no, I can't keep doing this because then you're just harming yourself.
Yeah, and so did you feel that way with like Callahan? You're like,
Yeah, I think it definitely, the person that I was based on, it definitely got to a point where I was like, this isn't serving me. And we actually like went on to like be friends for some time before, my fiance. We were friends for some time, and it was actually a really great friendship. Like it would just, no more benefits of any sort, no more situations, but just friends. And it was really great. And then I just hit a point where I was like, okay, well, now that I am in a relationship, like I don't really want to, I can't keep this going out of respect for my relationship. So yeah, I mean, it just like, at the end of the day, if you have maturity and good communication skills and know how to like semi-regulate yourself, like you can make just about anything successful as long as you have like the self-awareness to realize like, why are we here? What are we doing? Is this fulfilling for me, etc.
And that's why I think like for me, where it crashed and burned, and a lot of people in situationships, they're in the situationship because they don't want to talk about things, and they're trying to like play it cool.
And there's like, some like delusion. Yeah, you got to remove that delusion.
I know. I don't know how we like convince people to talk about like things when they're starting out. Like I think if you go into something like, oh, people know how to talk boundaries and stuff, but like just your normal, like average person dating.
Yeah. I mean,
I have no idea.
And I remember during my time in dating in Los Angeles, sometimes it's like pulling teeth trying to get a man to talk about his feelings. So no, I don't know how. They really just have to be like willing to, I think, give that information, or like to, you know, to show up in that way for you. And I think a lot of people just aren't there yet.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like we have a whole generation of kind of like emotionally, like
distant, unavailable.
Yeah. But it's weird because it's still more emotionally available than the boomers, you know, but it's like, it's.
I mean, I think people have a lot more, I mean, just because you have awareness around what you need to do doesn't mean that you necessarily have like the tools or desire to actually be at a place where you're emotionally available. And that's another lesson that you learn like in dating, I've realized, is that, you know, just because someone like, oh, I do realize that like I'm, you know, not anxious attached, the avoidant, and I don't have, you know, great communication skills, like I'm aware of all of this, I don't want to do anything about it.
Me until I met Jesse. I was like, I'm anxious and I drive everyone away, but like whatever. And then I met Jesse and I was like, I guess I can't do that because I like this person too much.
Aw, that's cute.
Yeah, he healed my anxiety.
That's great.
No, I forced myself to. But something I love in this book is the mention. You talk a lot about the universe and like being in the right place at the right time, or like things that are meant to be will happen, which is, I think, a really good way to also detach in a healthy way from like the anxiety around maybe, like me within my friends with benefits situation or whatever, like just knowing what's meant to be will be. Yeah. And you also talk a lot about like horoscopes in the book and everyone's sign, which I like was obsessed with and loving. And so like, do you ever take that into consideration with dating?
I mean, so I've studied astrology for 5 years now, and I've done tarot as well, and I've been spiritual, I would say, for the last like 5 years. So I've always been very, you know, that kind of like my spirituality has allowed me to just like really kind of trust in the universe and like understand that, you know, if just because something didn't work out doesn't mean that there isn't something better coming or whatever it may be. But I did love roping that into it because when I was dating, I feel like astrology really allowed me to just kind of like notice patterns. And that was one of the reasons why I started, you know, kind of following it. I was like, well, okay, I have really great sex with this sign, and this sign I have a little bit of a harder time with because they tend to be more triggering. And not to like put people in boxes, but it really was just like patterns. And I freaking love astrology. So yeah, and that's just kind of like a more personal woo-woo thing. Yeah. And I think, you know, for anyone that's like interested in astrology or just wants to like notice the patterns in it, like I kind of put that woo-woo in there as a way to be like, be as, you know, woo as you want to be in your dating and in the ways that you practice like relating to other people, because like there, A, no harm, no foul, and like B, sometimes it can be a really great way just to kind of like use it as another tool for introspection. I learned a lot about, you know, myself as well, in the sense that like, you know, I'm not going to put every Leo into a box, but at the same time, like if that energy is causing like this reaction with me, then I just want to be like more cognizant of, you know, like how I operate with that kind of energy, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's just like I said, another tool for introspection.
I think that's great. Like, and yeah, another tool for just examining like what's happened, and like the framework to sit down and examine things.
But you have to actually understand it. So
right,
like
you I feel like be like Leo, Pisces.
I mean, I have an app on my phone that has like all the astrology charts that I've, you know, looked at over the years. And I've deleted all of them. But like literally when I was dating, one of the probably first 10 things that I asked was, what's your like sun, moon, rising, or like give me your date of birth and I can pull the chart.
Yeah, what time were you born?
Yeah, exactly. And I knew, I studied astrology so much that I could read the charts and like I understand, but like, because you can't just look at someone's sun sign and be like, I'm not going to get along with that person. You look at the synastry, you look at their rising moon, everything, all these other things, you see how their placements interact with yours, and that can kind of give you, like, this is what this person is going to, trigger, this is what's going to flow really easy, all these things. But you have to really understand it to actually use it. And that's why I studied it so much. But it really helped me out. And honestly, my fiance, like one of the first things I asked him, was for his birth time. And I remember he asked his mom, and she and I remember I looked at his chart and I was like,
this is gonna be okay. So, cosmically, we are good.
Yeah. And she even asked me, she was like, so what did it say? And I was like, we're good. I'm like, I'm not gonna get into it, but we're good.
We're good. Well, that is kind of like a freeing thing when you like believe in like a higher power is taking care of things. Like, then you don't, like, on a smaller scale, you're not freaking out if you don't get a text back or whatever, because you're like, oh, I know.
Yeah.
Like, when we look at our charts, like, higher, like, there's more, like, we're okay.
Yeah,
like,
there's more at play.
There's more at play than this, which I think is freeing. But it's funny because one time I was on the phone with my mom, and she was like, your brother just texted me asking what time he was born. And I was like, LOL, like, he's going on a date, or he's on one currently. Like,
some girl out there is looking at, I'll do the date. Yeah, that's hilarious.
But I do think whatever helps you, like, detach from the outcome and just, like, accept.
Yeah.
Not accept, or just, like, know that's what meant to happen will happen. And, like, you can't. My whole thing was, like, I tried really hard in dating to hold on to things with my anxious attachment that were not meant for me. Yeah. And so then I started, doing the mantra, like, what's meant for me will find me. And then it, like, helped me ease out of the being like, you will love me.
Yeah.
No,
I get it. And I mean, honestly, like, dating's hard. I'm very grateful to be in the relationship that I'm in now. And, looking back, sometimes I'm like, I wish I hadn't, like, put so much stress into it, because I ended up in such a beautiful place. Yeah. But, I wish I had just, like, tried to, detach even more and enjoy it even more and just kind of, like, let things play out. But yeah, it's hard. And I honestly, the book, like, I always joke, I should have titled it The Book of Situationships. Because, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been funnier. But, with lovers, I was trying to go a little bit more romantic.
Totally.
But I was also, wanting to, like, encourage in that to just have a little bit more fun with it and, try to, like, even though, yes, like, they're having their own, like, inner turmoils and all these things at the same time, like, I also wanted the female main characters to just, like, have a fulfilling sex life, dating life, whatever, that too.
Well, and I think, like, oh my God, more talk. With the first story, like, I love, because sometimes I think we forget, like, human connection, even if it doesn't end up in
it doesn't have to be destination focused.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Like, in some, having a lover in Italy or wherever, or, Germany is, that itself is beautiful. Yeah, like that small time you spent together and just, like, sharing connection with someone.
I'm really glad that you took that away from that story, because that's what I wanted people to, like, get out of it. Like, it doesn't have to be destination focused. It doesn't always have to be about a happy ending. Like, sometimes it can really just be enjoying a present, beautiful moment with someone and then letting it go.
Having a beautiful, like, time getting dicked down and experiencing a new culture, and, like, that is a win, baby. And
exactly.
And knowing, like, oh my God, when I'm 90, I want to, like, look back at my experiences and be like, oh, that German lover I had,
Exactly.
like, that was gorgeous. I'm so glad I went through that and experienced that.
1,000%. So, yeah, I mean, I get that. Yes, a lot of us want, like, the security and, like, comfort and, longevity of a long-term relationship, but, like, that doesn't mean that, what you experienced before was a failure.
Totally.
Or has to be, like, something that you look down on or something that, like, you regret or any of those things. Like, sometimes it can just be about enjoying a person for this little bit of time.
Well, and that's why I loved this book so much, because so much smut is, like, which I also love, as we know, because I'm a romantasy girly, but it's like, you're my mate. We're meant
Yes.
to be. Our bodies are made for each other, you know?
Thank you. Because I also experience that with smut sometimes, like, and especially in the and that's like we feel is like truly like made for us, but at the same time, like sometimes I think the romantasy, like the whole mate thing, can really put a lot of like pressure almost, you know, because at the end of the day, like, yes, sure, you know, whoever you choose to like be your long-term partner is someone that's going to feel like they're made for you, and like that's great, and like that's how it should be. But at the same time, like, they are also human, and you are human, and we are all people, and like you're going to have little scuffles, you're going to have, you know, growing pains, you're going to have times where, you know, it feels a little up and down, like you're going to go through that. So and in those moments, like, you still choose to be with each other, but like, you know, it's tough emotions that you got to work through this person. So yeah, sometimes I feel like it kind of puts this like, you know, kind of delusion that like, oh, they're going to be perfect, and it's always going to be perfect, and there's just perfect. Yeah.
They're not going to have to ask questions about my body and how I like it, because
they're just going to
they were made for me. Yeah. And that's just not realistic at all. And so I like seeing like a more realistic, well, besides like the AI and whatever, but the actual relationship being a more realistic view of what a relationship looks like. And the conversations about receiving pleasure or giving pleasure being like the Callahan with, he doesn't know how to go down on someone, you know, like I like seeing that, because that's real life. Like, and that shows people like, you might have to talk your person through it, which is also hot. Like that's part of it. But for some reason we're taught like, you know, if you have to talk about it at all,
then maybe it's not meant to be.
Yeah, then maybe it's not your mate. And it's like, well, also these men are like wielding shadows, so I don't know.
Well, no, your mate should be, you know, someone that is willing to learn about you and is curious to learn about you. You know, I think the best thing in a relationship is someone that is like genuinely like curious about getting to know your body and what you like and all those things. And they're not going to know, but you can spend a lifetime helping each other learn.
Totally. So, and like the showing, not telling is also like gonna be hot. Like if you're like, this is where I like to be touched, and you're touching yourself there to show them, that's sexy too.
And I mean, especially, you know, people change, desires change, all the things. So like, there's always an opportunity to be like, you know what, I kind of prefer this way now.
Totally.
And like, let me invite you into this, all these things. So yeah. Yeah.
Not like his penis was perfectly meant for me and filled me in just the right way.
Like I said, don't get me wrong. I love the romantasy stuff, but sometimes they take the mate stuff a little too far.
Have you read Quicksilver?
No, I've heard of it. Is it good?
It's really good. I love it.
Okay,
yeah.
Good to know.
It's big on the mate stuff though.
Oh,
and sometimes like I do have to remind myself, because people are like, oh, romantasy or romance books gives women unrealistic expectations. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It just wants, like, women just want to be loved and seen.
Yeah.
But I also, like, yes, sometimes I do read enough romantasy books in a row that I'm like to Jessie, like, why aren't you reading my thoughts right now and know what I want? You know, like I do have to remind myself personally, as someone who lives in delusion, that, like.
I also think, though, that, like, you can definitely get to a place that feels like that with someone, and the only reason I say that is because, you know, I have a twin sister, and you know, we have spent 32, which is our entire lifetime, together, and like, because we know each other so deeply, and we, you know, have spent so much time together, that like sometimes it has definitely felt like we just read each other's minds, because I just know, like, oh, it becomes like second nature. You know, I'll be like at the store and I'm like, Camilla's gonna want this, like, you know, or you know, the other day, I was like,
that. Like, just thinking about people. And,
exactly.
like,
it's just like, they're like, oh my God, like, you read my mind, da da da. And so every relationship, platonic or romantic, like, has that capacity, I think, where if you're both willing to like really, be vulnerable and know each other deeply and really like welcome each other like into your lives and into your day-to-day life and everything. And like it can feel like that, mind reading aspect. Yeah.
And also just part of that is just like consideration. Like I love something that's like consideration is the greatest form of love. Like just being at the store, even if you're not reading Cammy's mind, but just being like, and then it's just like someone's like, you're thinking about me. That's huge. Like,
and honestly, I mean, when talking about like the whole unrealistic expectations, like really at the end of the day, like that's what women want to like feel considered and feel like, special enough to like be in someone's, mind in that way. So that's not a big ask by any means.
Totally. But I do think you and Cammy, you guys are just more intuitive people, I think, in general.
Oh,
like than like the average person, I think. Like more than me, for sure. Like just more in tune with like your emotions and the energy and universe. And
I mean, I think it also a lot of it just has to do with like, like where for example, like Camilla, or, since she is my twin, like has kind of taught me to be that way. Yeah. If that makes sense, to like be really kind of like in tune with other people, because I've had to be in tune with her my whole life. Yeah. So I think that having that experience just like made me so much more kind of like natural, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's like a thing you have to like practice and like get into, because if you think about it, a lot of us, sure, like we're with our parents for a long time, like up until we're about 18, 19, 20, and then we shift to like romantic partners. And like, I really don't think until you've been with someone like 10, 20 plus years that you start getting to the point where you learn about how to kind of become so aware of each other, if that makes sense. No, because it takes time.
Total. Yes, totally. My brain is broken. I'm dead. What day is this? January 2nd.
It's Friday?
It's Friday, January 2nd. It feels so weird.
I know. Honestly, like I'm still, like the holidays always fuck me up when it comes to, because like the other day I'm like, I don't even know what day of the week it is. Totally. I just know it's almost New Year's Eve. Like,
and then post New Year's Eve, like it's like, wait.
Like, where am I?
Like, the Monday isn't until the 5th, so I'm technically considering that the new year, like, when I'm starting everything,
Yeah. Like, 1,000%. I totally get what you're saying.
Because, like, this is the weekend. Who cares?
I know. I'm, like, still checked out until about Monday.
100%.
Then life begins.
And then I got the Channy app. I got all my prompts, my little, like, horoscope prompts.
Oh, I love Channy. She's great.
Yeah, she's so great. But, yeah, I think that's so impressive, and I think that like the way you treat the most like cared for person, the person you know most in your life, is like for you for a long time that was Camilla, and then now it's gonna be your partner in both of them. But like that just helps you. Any human relationship helps you know how to treat a relationship.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Because I have some friends who haven't been in a relationship; they're in their 30s and they're like embarrassed about it or self-conscious, and I'm like, but you've been in friendships. You know how to show up to those.
Yeah, exactly. 1,000%. And I think, we put a lot of weight into romantic relationships, which, I understand. But at the same time, like your platonic and familial relationships are still like just as big of an opportunity to learn from, other people and about yourself. So yeah, I mean, and I love my friends. Like when I was single, even though I did put a lot of focus on my romantic life, I also really like cultivated a lot of great friendships, and like those friendships are like still there for me, and like also provide a lot of support, and I'm also there for them. And really like investing into those people too.
Yeah, and building your community. And that's like the secret. You have to have friends, you have to have like to feel good, you have to have people, I don't know, that you're hanging with. And I think sometimes like we don't want kids, and some people are like, oh, aren't you going to be lonely when you're older? But I'm like, no. I'm pouring into my friendships. Like I'm like, that's going to be my community that takes care of each other.
1,000%.
And I think we forget that friendships can be that as well.
And honestly, maybe I think especially like as adults, I think friendships can be even, and granted, I don't have children, so I don't know that I'm in any place to say this, but I do think at times like can be even more rewarding than like your children relationship, because like there's automatically like a power exchange with your children.
Totally.
You're the parent, they're the child. You're not on an even playing field, and you never really will be until they're, you know, much older, and even then like there's still a little bit of that power exchange.
Yeah.
Whereas like with a friendship, you are on an even field.
And we're choosing into this
Exactly.
because I know you and I love you.
Exactly. No one's dependent on anyone. Like I hate the narrative that like, oh, if you don't have children, like you're going to be lonely when you're older, because I'm like, your children are going to go make their own families and build their own lives. Like if you're having them because you're depending on them to like bring you some sort of like fulfillment or, you know, relationship later on, then you're like unjustly putting a lot of responsibility on them that they probably won't even know about until they're much older.
I didn't ask to be born.
Exactly.
I didn't ask to be here.
2 people had sex and now I got to figure out taxes.
God
like,
fucking damn it.
I think about that all the time.
Yeah, like whenever I'm having a hard day, I'm like, Mom, Dad, what the fuck? Our financial woes. Like boomers, older people don't understand. Yeah. And I'll be like, well, I didn't ask to be here.
Yeah.
Now I'm part of a society, you know?
I didn't ask to be in this economy.
Yeah, capitalism?
I just happened to end up in this economy.
Yeah. Why aren't we hunter-gatherers who are just like communing?
You know, this is slightly off topic because it has nothing to do with what we've talked about, but I really do think like if you look at so much of society, like we're like on our way back to that because we're at an overcorrection for what capitalism has done to like the single family unit.
Totally.
1,000%.
Did you see Zoran's speech, how he was like, we need to get away from rugged individualism and back to collectivism? And I was like, yes, people, we need to.
I think it's everything's a cycle. It's going to come back to that. And in the second story, the little compound, like that's what I was trying to like show, like in an environment where like just a group of people are like, you know what, we're gonna go do our own thing and be together and be happy and have our orgies and we don't need the outside world to like do any of that. And that was another thing that I was like, you know, I love with my friends, for example, like I
like people are gonna have to buy houses with their friends because like how else can we afford them? So it's literally like capitalism is pushing us to community actually. And then we'll use the community to overthrow.
Exactly.
Before we get into Send It to the Sewers, what would you tell someone like who wants to write about their fantasies to explore them, like, and they don't know where to start?
Just take the time to like tap in and really tap into the emotions of it, you know, and just use your imagination. Like I think fantasizing and is a very underrated like skill, because like you can learn so much from it. But I think just start. Literally what I did, I'm like, well, I just sat in front of my computer and I'm like, what would I want this to look like? And then I just started typing and just went at it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't need to be destination focused. It doesn't need to be like, oh, I'm going to write this to be a book, or I'm going to like that one that I wrote 50,000 words. Yeah. Like I deleted that file. It's long gone, but it was really just for fun.
Totally.
And just for myself and for me. And it was, I loved it. I had a great time with it. Just do it for you, do it for fun. And just just know that there are no, like, those pages know no bounds. Yeah. You know, you don't need to sit there and be like, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to make sure that, like, I'm going to write it this way so that, you know, if my mom ever saw it, she, like, wouldn't be totally grossed out by this. And that's where, like, you're already stopping yourself and you're already my imagination run wild. Yeah. No stops, no boundaries, like just exactly what I would want in this scenario. And yeah,
no fear, because like if you like, I think people are so afraid to put like pen to paper because they're like, it's gonna be bad, or like someone will read it and not get it or whatever. And it's like, one, you don't have to show it to anyone. Yeah, you have to, and two, if you do show it, you're not doing it for them. Yeah. Three, if you ever think your fantasy's weird, go to Wattpad and you can find like you know, instead of getting one tentacle in the vag, you can find someone getting like
3,
five.
5,
Yeah.
From 4 people, you know?
Yeah. Like there's always.
Yeah, it should, fantasizing should know no boundaries. And I mean, I get it. It's sometimes like morals and fears and stuff come into play, and I totally get that, and that's fine. But that's also a space where like you can learn to like separate reality from, you know, imagination.
And what a cool place to like explore that fear or whatever about yourself and get to the root of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love your book. I hope everyone reads it. I especially love it. I mean, it's spicy. There's different kinds of spice, which I like.
Thank you.
And my ADHD brain loves short stories. Like I was oh yeah, this is like in the mood, you know?
Exactly. And honestly, like I love novels and I love series, but sometimes like there's so much going on that like I almost like can't really enjoy the smut as much. Like I really found that with Onyx Storm.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, just get to the fucking story. Like never mind them fucking.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to understand what happens next with this person. And so sometimes it takes away from that. Like I really love, sometimes the standalones are so much better for me when it comes to wanting to enjoy smut, and like separating a little bit, because I'm like, okay, like Den of Vipers, one book, plot sucked, but I could actually really enjoy this smut because I was like not so focused on like wanting to know what was happening next in the story.
I'm not like focused on the world building, or like there's not a glossary at the front of the book that I have to like jump to be like, what does this word mean? Like, you know,
or who is this? Where is this place? Who is that person again?
Let me look at the map.
Yeah. So sometimes and I wanted to write it in that way as well. Honestly, when I started pitching it, everyone was like, well, why can't it be a novel? Can we like string these all together? And I'm like, that's not how I want it. Like they're short stories for a reason.
I think that's great. And like, my ADHD brain loved and was like, it's very spicy and very hot, and I recommend, and also very spicy and very hot, and also like sits with you. Like you take something positive away from every story.
Oh, thank you. I feel honored that you read it. Thank you
I'm so honored you sent it to me and let me read it. And where can everyone find it?
So it's on Amazon. If you just look up The Book of Lovers by November Juliet, it's on there. So Kindle as well. Kindle Unlimited has it. It's on there, and then I'll give you the link if you want to like put it in the episode description.
Perfect.
Yeah. But just The Book of Lovers by November Juliet on Amazon Kindle.
Everyone check it out. I love the name November.
November.
I like that as a first name.
I actually really liked it too. When I was like, oh, I kind of like this.
Yeah, like that's kind of wow.
I'm like, do I want to name my daughter this one?
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think like an Ember as like a nickname, or
that's
Emmy
cute.
or something. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Everyone check it
out.
Write
that down.
Yeah, write that down. No one steal the name November.
But thank you for having me. I love you.
I love you. Wait, so we have to do send it to the sewers still if you're okay
let's
with
do it. Yeah.
Okay. This is the week where we send something to the sewers. We rant about it, or the segment of the show.
Yeah. No. I remember. I've done it.
Okay. Yes. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay.
I got to think on mine for a second.
I am sending to the sewers how everyone, but specifically like Americans, feel like they need to punish themselves for pleasure. Like if they, like, I feel like New Year's, or, you know, we just had the holidays, we're just enjoying time with family, friends, eating, like drinking, and like it's so lovely and what a cool thing. And then we go into New Year's Eve and for some reason is actually about the pleasure. Like that's the reward we get. So don't try to take the reward away from yourself. Like especially like, okay, your body will tell you if you need to eat some more vegetables. You know, like you ate cheese and crackers for every meal for the last 2 weeks. Like your body's gonna be like, okay, I need some more vegetables. You don't have to be like, I need a strict regimen of I'm gonna get on a juice diet and like really punish
starve
myself.
Yeah.
Like, no, your body will correct itself. You know, it will crave what it needs. But like, let yourself enjoy those moments without hating yourself afterwards.
I always say, just like, you know, have the French fries.
Have the French fries. Have the glass of, pretend you're in Italy. Like I think Italians, you lived there. Like I've never even been, but I'm like, they live in pleasure.
Actually, honestly, that is something that I have my pros and cons about, you know, living in Italy, and it was a really great experience. But if it's anything that it did show me, like that is one country that like is not concerned with like capitalism and, you know, hustle culture in the least. Yeah. And so then people just go back. Like, they don't have an issue with it, but they definitely live life in a way that's like so much more about, you know, just, you know, because they have the aperitivo and they go and socialize and you know, their meals are literally like 3 to 4 hours long, and they enjoy their food, and it's really good food. Totally. But they do really prioritize like their own pleasure and their own like enjoyment over like capitalism and productivity.
And that's what like have a like half grind, like you know.
I mean, at the end of the day, we all end up in the same place.
Totally. Yeah. So you're gonna end up like you didn't eat the chocolate cake, you didn't have a glass of wine, or you did and you hung out with your friends and enjoyed it.
I mean, I think it's at the end of the day, it's all about balance.
Totally.
But at the same time, like we overdo it on the productivity, the hustle, the need for, you know, some sort of like good result out of something. Yeah.
Americans just like hate themselves for what? Like I'm like, what are we doing here? Who is this for?
I think we could definitely learn a lot from Italy. Italy could learn some things from us as well. You know, like I said, pros and cons. But, yeah. So
yeah, that's my send it.
Well, my send it to the sewers is, and actually also has related to capitalism. Polyester.
Yes. Fuck polyester.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not. I have been on this like deep dive lately about how just everything is made out of polyester. And, you know, we used to make clothes out of linen and cotton and wool and silk, and now everything is just polyester blend, polyester. Like, I'm trying to, like, overhaul my entire closet and just, like, do away with polyester and focus on natural fibers. And it is, like, damn near impossible to, like, find clothes that are made of natural fibers. And it kind of sucks. And I think, you know, we're seeing a lot of people kind of put more of an emphasis on natural fibers now. Yeah. And once again, it's an overcorrection for capitalism. Capitalism just wanted to make everything as cheap as possible. So they've been using polyester now for years because they just, you know, fast fashion. And now we're getting to a point where people are like, we don't want this anymore. Yeah. We want like clothes that will last.
I want a nice sweater that will like last and doesn't feel like plastic. Yeah. You know?
I have so my ex-husband, when his grandfather passed away, we were like going through all his stuff. He had a Christian Dior sweater that was made out of like wool that he had for like at least a decade. Totally. And then I've had that sweater for at least a decade. Yeah. I think it's like a wool cotton blend, and it still looks amazing, feels amazing. It's lasted literally decades now, and I like love that sweater, and I try to take very good care of it so that I can pass it on. But I realize I'm like, if you have stuff that's like made of natural fibers and you take good care of it, like it will last you forever. Totally. Whereas like I have polyester clothes that like pill, you know, it's just...
Anyways. Even the expensive brand like Lululemon that like they use polyester,
and I can't believe
Aloe, Set Active, like
all of them, and they charge like, I'm sorry, if you're buying polyester clothing and you're paying more than like even $50 is ridiculous. And you need to go shop elsewhere. So that's what I'm saying to the source.
And not even talking about what it could be doing to your coochie. Like, who knows what the polyester is.
I switched to all cotton underwear because I was getting, like, so much, like, BV from polyester, like, underwear. It was horrible.
My gyno said she saw the highest rate in BV when, like, leggings became popular. Because it was, like, the polyester leggings versus people, like, wearing cotton underwear.
And, I mean, honestly, like, I think about, you know, like, A, my leggings, and B, the polyester underwear that I've had, but, like, it always had a smell to it. And then now like I've switched to cotton and it really doesn't. And also my wool sweaters that I wear now, I bought some that are like wool cashmere blends, and like they really, because they're antimicrobial, like the natural fibers, like they don't smell as much. Like as long as you just like let them air out a little bit, like there's no smell. Yeah. Because the fiber naturally like doesn't retain or breed bad bacteria.
Whereas like the polyester is just like there's a little
breeding ground.
There's a little plastic chemical set.
Yeah.
You're like, I guess this is why I have a spoonful of plastic in my brain.
Yeah. Sauna. I read that the sauna helps get rid of microplastics in the body. Yeah. So I've been trying to sauna more.
Oh, that's interesting. But you know what the other, sorry, this is now tangent.
No, what is it?
When I had, I got the bad Botox.
Oh, yeah.
And it like made me so half of my face couldn't smile. They said go in the sauna because it dissolves Botox and filler quickly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, which poison, or what do I rather have in my body? No Botox and microplastic, or no. And no microplastics or a little microplastics and some Botox.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was using it pretty consistently last week, and I feel like my filler's still fine.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it looks great.
Yeah, so, I don't know. I'll report back.
Yeah, please send, like, check-in photos. Week 1 in the sauna.
Lip filler. Week 2, lip filler. Oh, I wonder if you'd be able to actually, like, see if it... I'll let you know. I really, because I am trying to sauna more, and I don't think it's done anything to my lip filler.
Yeah, that's great. Maybe it's just the Botox then.
It could be just Botox, yeah. Botox is a little more sensitive, I feel like.
Because that's when I was like, they were, I was like, I want to be able to smile again. They were just sitting in the sauna for, like, hours a day, and it's like, okay, I guess. I, like, had plans, but...
Yeah. I had plans.
Like, I guess I want to be able to smile normally.
You always make me laugh.
Oh my God, I'm so happy you're here, and I'm so happy to see you, and I'm so excited for you. Your book, your engagement.
Thank you.
What am I gonna do?
And I'll let you know about the second book when it's ready. It'll be a while, but yeah.
Oh my God, everyone, check it out. Check Niki out. You already, you know Niki if you've been here.
Thank
you know and love Niki. Okay, bye, feral friends. We love you.